Gourmet number 12, Showdown with the Devil Python.
Devil Python, Reptile Beast, level 21, versus Toriko and Coco, round 1, fight! That's how it should have started out, but hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation! I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and just creatively woven tale of Toriko. Our last chapter, of course, saw us with, Komatsu being abducted by what we presume to be another Gourmet Hunter that is down there close to the Cavern Lagoon, and then also kind of seeing initially this Devil Python. And I just cannot express how much I love just seeing things like capture level 21, because it makes you feel like, I don't know, it makes me kind of feel like I'm in a video game, I guess. I don't know, it just gives me a better sense of direction of what I should expect from this particular battle. Certainly, I'm sure there's different nuances and things like that certain beasts have that can make them go beyond or even probably below where their capture level is rated at, but I just think it's a cool thing. So, this chapter is all action. That is really all it is. There is no moment to breathe, nothing during this thing. So, we're going to get through this here, we shall. It picks up, and of course, it's a picture, like a two-sided picture, split in half, and you got like Toriko's face, and half of his and half of Coco's face, and there's like, is it the legendary? And then you see the double page spread, Devil Python, and this thing is huge, okay? I showed a picture of it in the last, in the last chapter review, and of course, any of you have read along, you've seen it, and it's really, the character design, I think, is cool. It just got this cool, like, Medusa-like tendril things coming out of its hair. It's a python, but yet it goes and it, like, manifests these arms, these hands, and just very, very cool stuff. Now, keep in mind, too, that they're in the dark, okay? I mean, obviously, it's drawn, so you can see it. You're not going to draw 22 black pages. Nobody would buy that. Nobody would read it, either. And but you have to imagine that Toriko, all as strong as he is, he can't really see, and Coco even makes mention of that. So they kind of get started, fighting with it or what have you. And this thing, like I said, it's strong. It winds up having these, these two claw-like, triple claw-like claws, whatever, that come out of its body part. And one of them goes and grabs Toriko and just slams him against the wall and holds him. And Toriko is like, wow, this guy is really strong, And and Coco is making mention of how that Toriko's going to have trouble seeing it in the dark, but that it's this reptile, and he explains about basically it can see like the heat signatures in your body, so it can more or less see in that kind of like infrared, like predator vision, even though it's dark. He can still see Toriko and Coco just fine. Now, Coco, of course, we know can see in the dark and has good night vision or what have you, but Toriko is certainly at a disadvantage, so for all of his strength and might, he's pretty much hobbled and crippled, at least in this point of the fight. So he does go and manage to go and pull and kind of muscle up, and you see all the veins popping out of his arms. He's able to break free and then go and just go knife, and he just cuts right through and cuts one of this thing's arms right off its limbs, and you're thinking, oh man, this is going to be another one. Toriko's just going to wipe his ass with this monster, right? Hell no, that ain't what happens, because then this thing goes and immediately goes and regenerates its limb, And Toriko makes mention of it. It's like a something newt or whatever. He's like, except for much, much faster, it regenerates. So this thing, again, very, very quick, very, very powerful. And then Coco goes and he's like, because Toriko goes and he's just like, all right, man, I'm gonna take this thing out. I'm gonna man up. I'm gonna go at it, even though I can't see the damn thing. And Coco's like, listen, he goes, I'll take care of him because you can't even see in the dark anyway. He goes, can you pick up Komatsu's trail? And he goes, yeah, sure, I can just smell him. He goes, why don't you go take care of him? Because he made mention, too, about something about Komatsu and how he's so nice, and I wish you didn't have to die, or I wish, the outcome was different. So Coco has obviously seen Komatsu's death, and I think I forgot to mention that, because I believe it was actually towards the end of the last chapter that he mentioned that. And but he says that to Toriko, you got to go get him or whatever. And Toriko's like, why? What, did you see him die? He goes, don't worry about it. He goes, he came here of his own free will, okay? I didn't force him to, if that's what you're thinking. And Coco's like, no, but you got to go. And Toriko goes, no, and he writes a will before every time he goes, so he's fine, And Coco's like, so Coco's arguing with him, trying to get Toriko to go. And Toriko goes, yeah, well, what about the Devil Python? Do you see it dead, or do you see it dying, And he goes, no. And he goes, well, that means it's too strong for just you. I have to stay here and help. We got to fight side by side, right? Tag team,
And it's kind of cool because Coco's like, oh, yeah, we haven't done that in years, And Toriko goes and he says something like, yeah, make sure that you stay out of my way or something like that, that you work well, you don't screw up any of my attacks, you don't throw off my rhythm, right? Just don't mess with my chi. And Coco's like, that's my line, So they're going to go in and come at this thing tag team style. And ultimately this thing, it winds up being able to go in and shoot a bunch of poison from its tendrils. It does go in, and Toriko goes to nail it again, but it's like it learns from the attacks, which is nice. It's adaptive. It learned from the first attack, and what it did is it hardened up its skin by basically shrinking up its limb and making it tighter, so there was more skin there. So Toriko wasn't able to cut straight through it this time. He was only able to cut through. Because I imagine, this thing you can't just keep lopping off a limb, and it can't keep regenerating. It's got to take a certain amount of. I suppose it could. This is a manga after all that. Certainly it's in the creator's mind. It's fictional, but I'm just saying, to make any type of sense, that it can't just infinitely keep regenerating and just have, just a pile of dead limbs there. So I think it's kind of cool how it's all explained and how it goes and it tightens up and everything to defend itself. Winds up being able to, to go into nail Toriko again. I forget if it hits him or if it grabs him or what, but like I said, it's just a really cool action-packed epic battle. And it winds up going and Coco goes and fires, goes and fires a poison cannon, and he goes and fires poison out of his hands, which I think is kind of a cool move. Does this and then goes and, it hits this thing right in the face. And then that's when it goes and it spits back some poison, these little poison, like little darts almost from the tendrils, and I'm assuming the tendrils that are coming out of its face. And then, like I said, this thing is just really wicked looking. And Coco is able to dodge and move, and he's like, man, there's got poison and this and that. So what winds up happening ultimately, and then we see a brief like one panel thing of Coco, or not Coco, Komatsu. I don't know why I keep doing that. They both start with a K, sound, even though one's a C, one's a K. Komatsu, the one who was captured by this gourmet hunter, he's kind of running with him, and he's like, oh yeah, he's like, I'll let Toriko and Coco take out that devil python, and and I'll use you as bait. You're good at playing dead, aren't you? And he's running with him, So we see that very briefly that Komatsu is of course still alive, and then we go in right before the chapter wraps up. We get a really cool thing where it's like, they're going to go and they're going to fight. And Toriko says to Coco, he's like, listen, man, I got the power to take this thing down, but I can't see shit, okay? So can you just, stop it, hold it, get it to stay still so I can take it out? And Coco's like, oh, yeah, he's like, use your poison. And Coco's like, it'll be my poison against his poison. We'll see whose poison is more poisonous, more, stronger or whatever, right? And that's just where I get the whole, Mortal Kombat, that round one, fight, type thing, because they're going at it. And so that's cool because the chapter kind of ends off that way. And Toriko goes in and reveals that he's going to wind up using his. And everybody told me about this, that I guess it's actually called I guess it's called the Kugi Punch, but Kugi is, and I hope it's not Kugi. Kugi punch is translated into nail punch, which I think sounds kind of stupid. So they changed, obviously, for the Viz translation here that I have. They have, it's spiked punch, which I think because it's about food, that's kind of cool. Spiked, I spiked the punch, whatever. But he basically, the bottom line is that he wants Coco to hold him down because he is going to use his 5 Kugi Punch, So instead of just the triple Kugi Punch, this one is going to be 5. Count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is probably going to be an ultimately devastating move. I believe because I didn't know it was the end of the chapter, and I went to flip into the next page, and I believe the next chapter is actually called, 5 Kugi Punch. So certainly I think that's going to be the showdown between them. But ultimately, I guess, and like I said, I really am enjoying everything here, but what do you think, and my chapter question is going to be this, what do you think so far anyway, and I know that they get better and they get more epic and everything else, what do you think so far of the actual action and the way it's depicted through the artwork? The artwork to me is very, very close and akin to some comic book style, comic books that I've read, and obviously they're in a comic book style. And I think it is very sharp. It's very refined. I think it's nice. I really think it's nice. Even when there's just like a mess of just limbs and creature all over the page, I think it looks great. So what are your thoughts on, just kind of the artwork and the way the action flows thus far? Leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. God, I've hardly even got my voice. I just give it my all every time. It's just 150% all the time. But anyway, so feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll look forward to catching all of you in the next one, nation.
I just wanted to take a moment, brothers and sisters, to thank all of you, as I always do, but ultimately just to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving. I hope that you have safe travels if you're traveling, and just a wonderful, blessed holiday from my family to yours. Gobble, gobble.